guys, welcome back to another episode of Crossing Swords. As always, I'm Joanna.
You did it, well done.
Yay!
What people listening or watching this won't have just seen was Joanna nearly have a meltdown just before because she came up with the idea of, what if I did the intro? And then started panicking because she didn't feel confident enough to do it, but you just smashed it.
I didn't think you'd actually make me do the intro. So.
Well, it's a good idea. It's funny, it's different. It can be in the clip.
Cool, well, thanks for that.
But, you know, we gave you a round of applause as well.
I like it. I feel like I've been on James O'Brien's Mystery Hour and answered a question.
Yeah, we need our own version of Ray Liotta, but the problem is I'm pretty sure he's dead now, so we can't get him to record one for us.
It's awkward.
Yeah. But welcome back. You're
Thanks.
back as a guest host.
Third time's a charm.
Yeah, I didn't get you something. Normally for a hat-trick appearance, most podcasts give people something.
Oh.
I think. I might have just made that up.
You could have got me like a Krispy Kreme or something.
I could have actually. I just refilled them at work.
Don't tell me they had raspberry glazed.
There was 2 of them as well.
That's typical brother and sister shit, that is, yeah.
Yeah, they were refilling it while we were doing our shopping.
And you didn't think to go, Joe, look.
No.
Typical
No,
brother behaviour, that is.
Yeah.
Cheers.
I can only apologise.
So how have you been?
Not bad. Not bad. I mean, it is always weird, and you see it on podcasts sometimes where one of the person says the other one, how have you been? And they've just been having a conversation beforehand, and we have just been sat with each other for half an hour before having a chat.
I was trying to ignore you in there, to be honest, so we could save it for the pod.
I could tell. You know, the staring down at your screen, you know, made it obvious.
I've got shit to do.
You're a busy woman.
I'm a busy woman.
I'm lucky you even turned up.
To be fair, today,
yeah, in fairness,
with my child, the way he's been, you're very lucky. I didn't just walk out my house and keep walking.
When I was waiting for you to come over, I was sat there going, yeah, I picked the wrong day. I did feel bad.
I was going to say to you, in future, it might be better if you need me to do it with you, that we do it on a day when Brad's home.
Yeah.
And then that just takes, or when he's at nursery, and that just takes the stress out of it. Cause
no, I'll plan it better for next
he's
time.
Definitely, and I think...
Well, it's the unpredictability, isn't it? Because obviously none of us knew Harry was going to have a tough day.
And he was going to be up all night and tired and whatever. And I think the afternoon's a bad time for him as well. So,
well, he's like you, isn't he? You have a bad afternoon normally when you're at the most tired.
In the afternoon,
Yeah. But to be fair, you are up early most days.
Yeah, and he didn't go to bed till 3 o'clock this morning because he napped yesterday, and then he was up at 8 o'clock.
Honestly, I think that's the part of parenting above anything else that I would really struggle with is the sleep, because I am an irritable bastard if I don't have enough sleep.
If you get good sleepers, then you're cushy.
Yeah, I mean, we know someone who's got a baby and she just immediately
and
sleeps.
They put her down in her cot and she gets herself off to sleep and wakes up 12 hours later. You've won the baby lottery.
Yeah, and just sits there chilling.
And to be fair, Jeremy, my eldest, has always been a pretty good sleeper. But obviously because Harry's autistic, bad sleep comes with... and I think it's because he gets so tired during the day and overwhelmed in a sensory level, he can't make it through a whole day without getting knackered.
Yeah.
So then needs a nap, and then it screws up the rest of the evening. So, but I made it eventually. I'm just going to sit here and close my eyes for 10 minutes though. So
yeah, that's fine. As long as you keep talking, we're fine. Whether it's sensical or not.
I'll just say the right.
Yeah. Absolutely. But no, that's fair enough.
But no, it's cool to be back again. My third time. It's nice.
Yeah. Back in your childhood living room.
Yeah. As someone said on TikTok, is that your mum's bedroom? Well, I don't know many mums that have a dining table in their bedroom. So no, it's not her bedroom, but it is her living room.
It is, yeah. And it's not a council house as well. That's one of the other things.
No, it's not a council house. It might look messy like a council house, but it's not a council house.
Wow.
Oh no, wow. I just realised what I said.
That's going in the clip.
No, I'm not saying people that live in
council
council.
You're not helping your
I'm just going to stop talking.
Are you?
I'm just going to stop talking.
Yeah, just stop digging.
Just stop digging.
Stop banging the table. Do you know
Next
what I mean?
topic.
Either one. Both is fine.
We're off to a great start.
Yeah, look, the first 5-10 minutes normally is just me and Jake. We're finding our feet. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's absolutely fine. There's no pressure.
I didn't mean it.
And bless him, Alan, last week, just before the pod, we were sat here, we had our headphones on. And as he's talking to me, same as you, he's touching the table. And it's just because of the mic on that side of the table, it just picks it up. And I just sort of, because it's really difficult, because he was really nervous as well, so you don't want to criticise someone.
Yeah,
and so just before, I was like, just, if you can, try and avoid
Don't
touching
talk with your hands.
and then bless him, he sort of sat there like almost sitting on him. But yeah, no, it was great having him on as well.
Yeah, it was a really good episode.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
I think you could definitely tell he was nervous, bless him, and I think he'll probably do even better on the next one.
Yeah, well, I think when you don't ever record yourself and then you find you're being recorded, it makes you aware of yourself in a way you're not when you're generally going about your business and talking to people, and you don't realise how much you move when you talk, how much you smack stuff when you talk. So yeah, when he's on next time, I'm sure he'll be a bit more comfortable because he'll be more used to it. So.
Yeah, I'll have to try and plan him when Jake's back, because I know Jake would love to do it with him as well.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But it was interesting because I've always seen Alan as like a really confident guy, so to see him nervous was really weird. And then for him to actually say that it's always just been a front, and it just shows that like we make assumptions about people based off of nothing, and then you find out it's just completely untrue.
I think fake it till you make it gets...
Yeah, I think that's basically what he said.
Quite a lot of us through a lot of situations, doesn't it? So,
but no, right. So, one of the things we could start on is the biggest thing that's happened in the last
lots
week.
happened since we've last podded.
One of those is Donald Trump was shot.
Yeah, wow, I didn't think you were going to go for...
No, but just go straight. Because the thing
first.
is, if I'm going to clickbait it in the name of the episode and stuff like that, I feel like it should... And I got really lucky last week. We did really well on YouTube. And it was because Jake chose the intro music for Alan, which was Wonder Boy by Tenacious D.
Okay.
So we'd spent the first 5 minutes or so talking about Jack Black, so I then clickbaited him in the name of the episode.
Okay, yeah.
And then in the last week...
Obviously, that stuff's happened with...
Yeah, so I got quite lucky that... And then we don't talk about that at all because it hadn't happened at the time.
Yeah, well, we can talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely, it's on the list of things to talk about. But yeah, like to get people to come in, sadly, you have to... be a bit clickbaity and talk about...
I mean, you're not getting your titties out, so,
no,
you know.
I'm not confident enough for that, if I'm being honest.
We'll save that for maybe the...
And the OnlyFans.
The 500th
and like, look,
anniversary
it's
special.
Leanne's goodies, you know.
It's true.
I can't be just giving it out there.
No.
But yeah, so Trump was shot.
Trump was shot.
What did you think when you found out?
I don't know, really. I'm cynical, so I assume it was something he set up.
That was my
because he obviously knew the knock-on effect it was going to have, just because of how terrible the Secret Service were.
Yeah.
That just seems ridiculous. The fact that they were all basically, there was a man standing screaming for a couple of minutes. There's a man on the roof. There's a guy on the roof.
There's people filming the guy moving on the roof.
Yeah, like, and Secret Service going, what? Huh? Huh? Where? What roof?
Yeah.
So, yeah, or my other nice, juicy little theory is that Melania did it because she hates being married to Donald Trump anyway, and the idea of having to carry on being married to him while he's president again is just...
My only issue with that, though, is I don't think it would affect Donald Trump being divorced and running for president. So like, I don't feel like she shackled to him in quite the same way.
Well, I can't understand why she's still married to him, to be honest. I thought she'd have left him after he finished being president the last time, because she clearly didn't really want to be... She's not a Michelle Obama first lady, is she? No,
you just don't see her, do you?
No, she's so I'm wondering whether she was like, just fuck this shit, man. Fuck this guy. Fuck his hair.
Just hired some random
Fuck his tan. Yeah. We're going to get the middle-aged bird with eyesight problems on Secret Service that morning.
Well, that's the elephant in the room, isn't it?
It's the fact that...
what they're debating at the moment is should women be in the Secret Service?
Oh, and obviously there's lots of memes online already about...
Well, to be fair, like Joe Rogan apparently talked about it. I saw a clip of it where one of them, the women, she like randomly pulls her gun out and is like... and then tries getting it back in her holster and can't get it back in her holster, and she's like constantly looking around.
It wasn't a good day for girls that day. But what I would say is,
and he was surrounded by them.
There were more men on duty that day than there were women. So she's lost her job now, and there's a whole new secret.
The head of the
there's a whole new Secret Service detail now, and no women are included.
Mum, when we were talking about it, was like, "Oh, I hope the guy who's in charge of them, he loses his job." And I was like, "Well, it's a she."
Did she change her tune then? Was she
didn't really say anything.
Maybe she should just get told off.
She was just like, "Oh, well then, yeah, I guess she should lose her job as well."
Yeah, I don't know.
And I don't know whether it's true, but I heard a stand-up say that like the first day there was ever a woman on Secret Service detail, a bloke managed to make it like with a knife on him all the way to the windows of the Oval Office.
Well, look,
and it's like one of those things, right? Like a woman that's married to a misogynist, and he's like, "Oh, women can't drive," and she gets a brand new car and somehow ends up in a car accident. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, it's not because she is actually a shit driver; it's just bad luck. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, look,
she just happened to have her first day, and someone made it that close.
To be honest, I mean, I don't know if there's a defence for it, because a couple of weeks ago I gave Mum one job, and that was to look out of a window. And she couldn't even manage that. So women, it would seem, doing this small scientific experiment we've done, aren't very good at observation, maybe.
Well, the now previous head of Secret Service, she wanted to implement a 30% female policy.
Oh, and that's been scrapped, I should imagine now, right?
If it hasn't, it probably should. The thing is, like, look, as you said, there
We're good at some things.
More men on duty at that point than there were women. So there's not really an argument to be made. But if you were to ask me if I had a choice of just, you get one bodyguard as the leader of the country, who are you choosing? I'm going to be honest, I'm not choosing a woman. I'm choosing the most dangerous looking man I can find. And I think most people, if they're being honest, agree. Because even if it was the most highly trained woman in the world, if you put her up against the most highly trained man in the world, just physiologically, unless she gets lucky, he's likely to win.
Yeah.
And like, it's an uncomfortable truth, and I'm all for feminism, and I think there should be equality, but in certain things.
No, but I think the word feminism's been inaccurately adopted. There's one type of feminism that seems to mean that women should do all the same things that men do.
Yeah.
But there's another type of feminism that actually understands what it is to be positively feminine and positively masculine, and that we're not both capable of the same things.
Yeah.
That's not a bad thing.
No.
It's good that we have differences, and men are more physically capable, women are better caregivers, and I think the sooner we accept that we have strengths and weaknesses, and we play to the strengths and weaknesses, and for me that's the true definition of being a feminist, is knowing what your strengths are, using your strengths, and then finding someone to help you in the places you're not as strong, and if that happens to be a man, fine. But yeah, if women aren't good in Secret Service roles, then it's just how it is, isn't it?
Yeah. I always liked what Jordan Peterson said, and I don't agree with much of what he says now. I think he's gone a bit too religious. But back in the day, he said he believed in equality of opportunity, not equality of outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone should have the same opportunities, but it should be about who's best for the job in any given situation.
And it shouldn't matter what sex
race,
you are, what
gender,
colour,
and I think that is the way it should go.
Yeah, totally.
I think in situations where
I think having diversity quotas is dangerous.
I am more on board with them than I'm not, though, in most areas. But I think it needs to be.
Well, no, but it depends if that what you're. what you're talking about, I suppose. So if it's a diversity quota for the army, I don't agree with that, because
100%.
that's
but
ridiculous.
If it comes to something like finance or even science, because the people who
or
are going to be going,
BBC presenters,
because the people
great,
going for
who
the top
cares?
jobs are going to be, they're all going to be qualified. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like if you're going for a high finance position, you're going to be credited up to the yin yang. Do you know what I mean? So in that situation, I'm fine with diversity quotas, but in the army, the Secret Service, or like in terms
but I don't agree if a diversity quota works, that if you have somebody who's not a minority and someone who is a minority, and the person who's not a minority would actually be better for the job, but because you're currently on 29% and you're meant to be on 30% for your diversity quota, you pick the minority person over the person who's not a minority.
I don't agree with that.
That I don't. So how do you then police the diversity policy in the quota?
I don't know if you can.
So for me, for that reason, they're a bad idea.
Yeah.
People just need to stop being like racist bigots when they hire people for jobs. I mean, that's the simple solution. And
there's been experiments where they did thousands of job applications.
Just call everyone John Smith on their CV.
Yeah, and that's what they did. They sent loads of applications out to the same jobs, one with like African names and ethnic names on them, and one with John Smith and like really bland English names. And same qualifications, everything's exactly the same.
John Smith
got far more responses. Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's mental. But
Trump being...
So you're against women in the Secret Service?
Well, no, I'm not against them, but if they can't do the job as well as other men can, then if it happens to be that men do the job better, then it should be the person who does the job better.
Yeah. But personally, I don't think what happened to Donald Trump has anything to do with the fact women were on duty that day or anything like that. I want to make that clear.
I feel sorry that somebody innocent lost their life in it.
Oh, 100%.
Some young kid that just thought they were going to a political rally. That was the end of their life. I don't know whether what Biden said had anything to do with it, because he obviously said it's time we put a bullseye on Trump, didn't he? But it depends whether the shooting was actually a setup by Trump or whether it was a crazy Biden supporter.
Because it is odd for it to be a left-wing nutter with a gun. Do you know what I mean? That doesn't quite compute.
But it could be that the state Biden's in now. Yeah. Like I was listening to Alistair Campbell and Rory Stewart's podcast last night.
The Rest is Politics.
Yeah, and that they did a whole thing on Trump, and that was really interesting. And Rory Stewart said like they really have to now have a new leader and a new second in command, and they're going to have to do it really quickly because they've literally got 3 months. Before the election, and Biden clearly is not the right person to carry on being the leader of their party and running the country. So it could be maybe that somebody's, because their supporters must see the state Biden's in as well as everybody else.
And to be honest, I'd not really followed that situation, but I watched his Oval Office address about the shooting, and like there's bits of it where you're like, oh, he's all right. And then just out of nowhere, he's reading. You can see he's reading off the teleprompter. But
apparently on one of the read-throughs, he actually read pause. So, and that the debate that he massively failed.
Oh, I watched a clip of that.
Apparently, he'd been intensely trained for that as well, as in like all day long, 7 days a week, and he's still fluffed. The man's not a well man.
No, like I think it's like, even if you look at Obama, the bloke who walked in before being president was not the same bloke that walked out. He'd aged 20 years. I mean, if you see him now, he looks better again.
Yeah.
But like, that's not a good job.
Well, I even saw a short on YouTube yesterday of Rishi Sunak sort of giving his farewell speech in the House of Commons, and he was laughing and joking.
The weight of the world's off his shoulders.
Everyone in the comments is going, "Where was this dude?" Like when he was Prime Minister, and it's like, well, you kind of can't. Like he was cracking joke, he and leaning on the lectern. It was like just completely different.
Well,
his hair even looked
like, if you think about it, all the shit's gone. He's not responsible for any of it anymore. and he's got fucking tons of money in the
So
bank. No
much
matter
money.
what.
And he only got
happens.
richer in the 18 months he was Prime
Yeah,
Minister
yeah,
anyway.
£120 million richer.
But yeah, so I wonder whether it could have been. Is it they're the Democrats, aren't they? Biden's lot. I get them confused.
I always do as well.
I'm confused because in
I think they
America,
are the Democrats.
red is Conservative
and it's the
and
opposite
blue
way.
is Labour.
Yeah.
It's the opposite way to our colour system,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I do get a bit confused. But I wonder if it's someone from Biden's camp, one of his supporters. Sorry, banging the table. And they can see the state of Biden.
Yeah.
They know that the whole world knows Biden's
Shouldn't
not
there
up for
be
the job.
something in place? I'm sure there is, but I feel like no one's using it.
I don't understand how you can't impeach someone who's not medically
I think that
fit.
is like, if there's enough suspicion, I think you go to like the Speaker of the House, their version of the,
Okay.
I can't remember what the position's called, and then that person will then get like
the head of
the
Congress
presidential doctor involved, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
all done very quietly, and because obviously if everything's fine, you don't want the world to think you've.
But it could have been
undermine the
one of their
president.
supporters going, look, Trump's clearly going to win, so unless we off him, Biden doesn't stand a chance.
The thing is, I did sit there and I was like, who has the most to gain? And immediately my thought was, oh, well, Trump, because it just guarantees he wins.
Well, providing it only did skim his ear.
Yeah, and then like I think I said that to Mum, and Mum was like, but like, who's agreeing to that suicide mission? Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter how much money you offer them, they're going to get killed. The Americans don't.
Yeah, I said to Brad actually the other night, the only thing that annoys me with these things is they always kill the shooter.
Yeah.
And Brad said, well, of course. And I was like, but if you shoot them, you don't find out why they did
But
it.
how many people could they take out before you shoot them?
I guess that's the risk. And
that's why
someone
they
did
do it.
already lose their life, didn't
Yeah,
they? So.
and that one of them was it was nearly the president of the United States.
But
do you
it
know
would
what I mean?
also, it's a shame you can't just go, hold up, hang on, what have you done this for? And they go, oh, cheers, boom.
Sadly, these people don't. And the problem is, even if they hadn't have killed him, he'd have probably. Normally, these people do it to themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, to be honest, I'm not surprised by anything that goes on
Particularly
with
when
Trump
it comes
and
to guns.
America at the moment. And
I also feel like
the fact they all walk around with guns blows my mind anyway.
No, totally.
And to be honest, it actually makes me not so keen on going to America because as a tourist in America, everyone American's walking around armed.
But
you're not.
So no, but having listened to like Americans talk about it, like what a podcast I like, Have a Word. They went out to Nashville and they went to a gun range and they're talking to the guy there, and he's like, so because they're like, we're not keen on guns at all, and he's like, right, so what do you do if someone breaks into your house? And they're like, we ask them to leave. We're not even allowed to attack them. You can get arrested if you hurt them. And he was like, they were like, what do you do? And he was like, I put one in his head. And they were like, what?
Yeah, but we
go
to prison for
murder.
murder.
He was like, why don't you get arrested? And he was like, no, they invaded my property.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he was like, if he'd have ran away and I shoot him in the head, then yeah, I go to prison.
Yeah, because we had a case of that, didn't we? There was a farmer that kept being broken into. So in the end, he got fed up and he shot him in the back. Yeah. But to be honest, you can totally understand it. Yeah. What you didn't hear was the whole backstory.
Years of being robbed by these
and
people.
being living in fear and but yeah, I mean, just the idea that that the person next to you in Walmart or the till could end your life with something like, and it's the women that have got little things in their bags as well. Yeah. No, I'm glad we don't think guns are a good
And it
idea.
always amazes me when these things happen that there's not even a conversation. Like, if we had less guns, this wouldn't have happened. To be fair, I feel like the argument about Biden stoking this sort of eradicates the whole history
problem with guns in America.
Well, not even just that, but Trump's own contribution to the division in America. Like, he literally incited violence.
Well, apparently it's easier to go and get a gun in America than it is to go and get medical marijuana. Yeah. So that, to start with, is absolutely insane. So that needs to be the other way around, doesn't it?
The problem is, though, the gun lobby in America has so much money. It's such a big business that it's just not going to happen. Too many politicians are bought by the gun lobby.
Well, and
that's the way you eradicate it.
They're all Tories in the sense that our lot are, that they're all into gun sports and all of that. So it's all part of their culture. The thing is,
if it's literally in your constitution and it's ingrained to the fibre of every being of the nation.
The thing is, if we lived there, we'd be all for it because everybody's got guns.
Yeah.
So I like that only certain sections of our police service have it, that. I mean, the thing is,
and we don't get it perfect. We still shoot people we shouldn't, but it's such a smaller scale, and it doesn't justify it. But I can.
Well, and look, for me, like, okay, so also I'm sure you have to go and get some kind of license to get a gun in America, and I'm pretty sure you're actually meant to keep it, like when you're at home. It's not
in a locked cabinet.
It's in a locked cabinet.
I think it varies state to state on the rules. Like some states, you can have like a machine gun.
Jesus.
On your person, open carry, as long as it's holstered.
But what's stopping Betty in Walmart just turning around one day and going, yeah. Like, just because...
Well, the only thing is
they
that there's
seem
other
like
people
an
with guns.
okay enough person to get a...
Right.
No, but she still killed you before anyone's done anything to her. Yeah, so
she's dead before she got 5 yards away from that spot. Someone else in the shop is popping her off. Like, they talked about in the gun range in this podcast, they were like, what happens if someone pulls a gun out in here and tries to do something? It's like, well, he might get one person if he's lucky, but he ain't going to get anyone else because everyone in here is backing. But yeah, like the guy was like, he was licensed in Nashville to walk around with a machine gun on his person. He was like, I obviously wouldn't do that.
Do you think it desensitises people to guns as well?
Yeah, of course it does. If it's just part of...
I remember when we were kids going to the airport and being absolutely terrified of the policemen as you walked into the terminal with their...
And they had scary looking
with
dogs.
Their vests on, their dog and their massive machine gun.
Yeah.
It was like,
I remember the first time I saw that, I was genuinely taken aback.
Keep the fuck away from him.
Yeah. And I remember saying something to Dad, and I was like, what are you worried about? You're not a terrorist
that's the thing.
or a
we
drug
had nothing
dealer.
to be worried about. No, but it's still...
It was such an odd thing to see.
Big guns.
And that must have been post 9/11, I imagine. Because I don't...
No, that was all...
Really?
Yeah. There's always been police with guns in airports, yeah.
I remember being amazed because Dad worked in airport security when he told me, he's like, you have no idea where people can hide bombs. And I was like, that's such a lovely thought. He's like, if you had any idea what someone could have in their shoe. And I was like,
and actually what a small amount of stuff
can do
as well. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm not surprised that it's all going mad in America because that's how they roll, isn't it? So.
I think it just shows how, in general, divisiveness needs to be reined down. Like, we get too extreme with everything, don't we? And if we've now got left-wing people shooting people, I think that's a sign that we need to chill the fuck out.
Surely
I mean, it's not
more's going to come out about who the shooter actually was, and
no, with these sort of things, they like
we get covered up.
It's still like very much disputed what happened with Kennedy. So,
okay.
I mean, I say it's disputed. The mainstream thing is that he was killed by whoever that bloke was, despite the fact he was shot from a direction that isn't the direction of the window that he supposedly shot him from. Shit like that. But yeah.
Well, we'll see, won't we? Maybe someone will try again and they'll get it right this time.
Well, speaking of getting it right.
Speaking of getting it right, I literally just realised I said what the Tenacious D guy said.
Absolutely. So that's a very nice segue into what happened. So for those not listening...
Where was he when he said it?
They were on stage at a concert.
But what country?
Oh, that I don't know. But they were touring.
Because surely saying it over here would be pointless because no one here was the person
who tried. It must have been in America.
So it must have been in America, right?
And they're on stage. It was Kyle Gass, the other band member in Tenacious D, and Jack Black. Jack Black's wishing him a happy birthday, and he's like, make a wish. And he was like, don't miss Trump next time.
Okay, yeah.
And Jack Black just says thank you, and then the video cuts out, so you don't see what happens afterwards.
Apparently he laughed and thought it was funny.
Yeah. But since then...
Well, it is quite funny.
I thought it was funny.
It's a joke.
I had a similar thought the first... Now, obviously, I'm not wishing Donald Trump dead.
No. But if you're going to do it properly.
Yeah, and do I think the world... And also an innocent man died. Do you know what I mean? So, just losses all around. And obviously, I'm glad for him he's not dead. But do I think the world would have been a better place without Donald Trump in it? Probably. But, you know, I don't want to get in trouble for wishing him dead. But Jack Black has since cut all ties with Carl Gass. Tenacious D's done. They've stopped touring, and I don't like it.
Is that a little bit ridiculous?
Well, it is, yeah.
I can't really understand why Jack Black's done that. Like,
the thing is, it's funny because with Tenacious D, they're like this alternative part of the music industry. They're rock, but also a bit silly.
but hasn't their thing always been piss-takey
Yeah.
music?
I mean, if you watch the film The Pick of Destiny, it's just...
The greatest song in the world.
Yeah. He deactivates the laser with his dick.
I'm gonna fuck you.
Oh, fuck her gently.
Fuck her gently, yeah. Like, it's all a piss take.
Yeah,
so how come he does this taking the piss?
Because
And
he's
that's
Kung Fu Panda, innit?
so Jack Black is being a complete mercenary and protecting his...
I think so.
The brand
That's
of Jack
how it's
Black.
come across, yeah. There's no other thing.
But surely these two have been friends for like...
Well, yeah, of course I have.
30 years or something.
Yeah. Well, like tributes,
But
at least 20 years
did
old.
Jack do it before the world reacted to it? Or did
No,
Jack
must
do
have
it
been
as
post, I would have thought. Because he then did a statement that said, in the moment, I was taken back and didn't know what to say, but have since reflected and I can't be associated with that sort of sentiment, basically.
That's insane. So when he was just in Brighton doing their tour, that was...
On my last opportunity to go see
to ever go and see
and
them.
hear tribute live, yeah. Yeah, that was put in the group chat with Ash and Jake. We all mourned collectively.
I feel like that's a bit over the top, really.
Totally.
It's only a stupid joke.
It will be interesting to see because it depends on how he's handled it behind closed doors. Because for all we know, they could have had a conversation and Carl's gone, look, mate, I get it. Let's just go underground for a while.
I kind of feel like if people keep giving in so easily to the cancel machine...
And like, what annoys me...
I'm a bit surprised that Jack Black's giving in so easily.
I'm not, like, he's earning millions, and that's the thing. Like, it's putting money above everything else, and it sadly does make me think a little bit less of Jack Black, if I'm being honest. I'd have just kept touring.
Well, I think it's an overreaction.
Yeah.
And maybe if it, like, because also cancelling the tour seems really silly, because I guarantee everyone who bought tour tickets wasn't then just not going to turn up to the tour.
No, of course they're not. Because the thing is, I feel like with these things, whenever there's like a cancel moment, particularly when it's someone on stage, whether it's a comedian or anything else, like the context of what's going on gets removed from it. Like, it was clearly a joke. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think Carl Gass actually wishes Donald Trump dead. He probably doesn't like him very much, doesn't agree with him politically. But like myself, probably thinks the world would be better without him.
Well, no, it's completely topical, so it's funny. Like, if no one had attempted to assassinate Trump and he'd have said it randomly out of the blue, then maybe you'd have a point. But I think the world's gone mad, and I think Jack Black's made a mistake.
No, me too.
And I wouldn't be surprised if in a year or so's time we find them coming back together again.
That's what will be interesting
for a reunion.
Because if he's not handled it well and just like ghosted him, then I can't see that happening. Because like, if someone does that to you and immediately throws you under the bus, you're not going to then be
especially
like, unless you need it, you're not going to go back to it, are you? And there's a good chance most people will be like, no, I'm not coming back regardless. So,
well, I hope they've at least stayed friends. That would be a shame.
I'd like to think he'd at least spoken to him about it.
But I'm shocked at someone who's made the music and has the sense of humour and.
Yeah. Do you want an ice cream, Jack?
Oh, is that the ice cream?
That is the
Why
ice
do they
cream
never come round at the right time?
No, while we're in the middle of a podcast.
No, but also it'll be £5 for a 99 now.
Yeah,
so
I ain't got
don't get me
£5.99 money.
No, and as I said to you when I got one, it wasn't even a Cadbury's flake. It was some pound shop
what
chocolate
are we doing?
flake.
Like, I'd have asked for my money back. I'd have been like, mate, have your fucking ice cream back, you scamming.
And it wasn't even.
Was it proper Mr. Whippy?
I don't think so, no. It was like it had too much air in it. It wasn't that dense, smooth.
Yeah.
No, I'm mugged off, mate.
Yeah, it wasn't like a Carvery ice cream. They've got it nailed.
No.
That's proper Mr. Whippy.
Someone actually asked, bang the table again, Mr. Whippy, where you could get Mr. Whippy, like actual proper, from an ice cream, or from anywhere, but I'm not sure there is anywhere.
No.
Anymore.
That's the big money idea.
But the problem with you, Les, is I reckon ice cream vans have got to pay $12.50 a day to
Yeah, we'll just get an electric one. Surely
Right.
they've got electric ice cream vans.
I don't know how.
Subsidise it from the government like we do Teslas.
That guy that came and did Jeremy's birthday is still working.
Oh, okay.
So we should definitely get him to come and do ice cream again.
Yeah, but how much are his prices now?
I don't know. I mean, they were five each at the time.
I reckon it's $7.50 minimum now.
But compared to what I paid £4.50 for outside Jeremy's school, it was literally, one of the little plastic disposable tumblers. It was one of those.
You didn't even get a cone?
Didn't even get a cone.
What? What were you doing?
Because that was £4. If you wanted a cone, it was £4.50.
Joe, at some point you've got to look yourself in the mirror and be like, I'm making wrong choices here.
I definitely made the wrong choice there. This little cheap plastic cup filled with ice cream, cheap strawberry sauce, and not even a Cadbury's flake. £4.
Mate, you fool.
Or we're missing a trick, and me and you should start with our own ice cream van.
The problem is we don't get enough good weather.
No, but this is where I think people make a mistake. Because I think the British will have an ice cream from an ice cream van pretty much any time of year.
I don't think that's true.
I do. I reckon
because otherwise there would be ice cream men.
No, I just think they haven't bothered. I reckon if we drove round in September, October, when it's still fairly warm and sunny, and March, April, May, you've only got to miss out like 5 months of the year. I think they're missing a trick.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be hot. Dad, what was Dad like? Dad wanted the ice cream more than we did.
Dad had a thing for ice cream, and he was a greedy little monkey.
Do you remember he liked the oyster things, shell things?
Yeah. No, Dad was like great for that though. Like if you went to the cinema, I mean, Mum never.
He
took
wanted
us to
more
the cinema.
sweets than we did.
Yeah, he'd get the popcorn. What annoyed me though was I'd be like, Dad, I'll get my own popcorn. He goes, no, I'll get us just one big one because I only want a handful. And then he eats half of it and then hands it back to you, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? I don't give a shit. You've just paid for me to come here and for this popcorn.
How dare you?
But you've just sat and ate 3 scoops of fucking Cherry Garcia, eating half my popcorn. And the top part is the best part of the popcorn I find in the cinema.
Mum always wanted to get the supermarket popcorn in bags, and I hate that stuff. It's proper cheap.
No, see, I don't mind a bit of butter-kissed sweet.
Oh, I like the butter. Occasionally, I like the Butterkiss toffee popcorn.
But supermarket own is a bit pants, I'll be honest.
Yeah. And also, when you buy it at the cinema, it's warm.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it's in that warm box.
What annoys me, though, is the best thing they do is the hot dogs, but they're never ready.
Never have a fucking
Like, what is the point of that?
Yeah. Oh, no, they won't be ready. But if you go, I don't know, now the cinema's been taken over in Sutton, it used to be that if they weren't ready and you ordered it, they'd come and bring it to your seat.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Why didn't I know that?
But that was when it was Empire.
I've got to be honest, the last time we went there, the thing we went for, I couldn't have eaten a hot dog if it had been delivered halfway through.
Why? What did you go and see?
We went and saw Sound of Freedom.
Oh, yeah, no.
That's the last time I was... Honestly, that thing scarred me for days.
Oh, that was the last thing we went to the cinema to see.
Yeah, I can't believe that was the last thing I went to the cinema to see.
That's mad. Yeah, I think someone else has taken over the cinema in Sutton now.
Okay.
Not Empire.
Yeah, Empire went under, I think, didn't they?
Because literally, when we went, they had nothing, did they? They had no... Oh, didn't I get a hot dog?
Yeah, you did. You and Brad took the last 2.
Did that annoy you a little bit?
And I fucking was seething. And both of you were sat there going, they're not even that good. And I was like, I wouldn't know.
Because remember, they had no sauces. Because it was going bust. They had no shit.
And then I think I didn't even get an ice blast. I think you two got a lot.
No, I didn't get an ice blast.
Did you not?
I'm not really into ice blasts.
No, ice blasts are the one. The problem is the paper straw. If it wasn't for that, I need to get myself.
You have to get
although I can't have metal. No, don't get metal straws.
Why?
People die.
What do you mean?
Well, just think about it. You're holding a cup with a metal straw in.
Yeah.
There's people who have fallen forward.
But who's falling forward?
And then the straw goes through the eye.
Yeah, but...
And they're dead, Joe. They're dead.
How many people?
I love me and you are such different people. I say this every time. Like I showed you that video of the old lady nearly dying, falling out of an aeroplane. And I'm having a panic attack watching it, and Joe's just on the floor laughing.
It was hilarious.
No,
you
honestly.
could see her bra and everything. What annoyed me was he couldn't hear whether she was screaming or not.
Oh, no,
She
I'm
must
sure
have
you
been
could.
screaming.
Could you imagine if she was just chilled?
And the other
This is a weird way to skydive.
I still don't understand how it happened.
Do you know what? If that was Mum's thing would have been like, is this how you normally do it?
Hang on, so did it happen because
if you think
you've got your
about
back to the person,
yeah,
you're strapped like this, and she put her bum down?
well, yeah, and she was strapped around both thighs and then under her arms.
So she went like that, so her arms came out and her
so
legs
her leg,
came out.
And because she was arched and he stood up, she
then had the room to slip
and he
out.
then spins over her,
So
which
he
forces her out.
shouldn't have,
Well, they're both in the wrong equally. She's been a fucking moron. She's causing a dangerous situation. She'd agreed to go and skydive.
Well, because surely they must warn you as part of the safety thing. Like,
she could have risked his life doing that. Like,
yeah.
If he trips and they go flying into the engine of the aeroplane, because of her. So like they were both in the wrong. But yeah, it's fucking dreadful.
I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah. Right, we've done.
That's a bit like the lady dragging her shopping across the
Honestly,
car
I've never
park.
felt more bad since. Like,
Why would you feel bad?
Because it was a disabled woman dragging her
wasn't
shopping, and we sat there.
disabled.
She had crutches, or she had like a walker or something. She had a walking stick or something.
Yeah, maybe a walking stick or a crutch.
But she was clearly limping on the way into the
Yeah,
shop.
but why would you park as far away from the shop as you
That
could?
didn't make sense.
And then drag your shopping bag across the floor. It made no sense.
But instead of getting out the car and offering to help
Well, you
her,
should have as the man.
we just sat there laughing. And there's no way, because we had the windows
She
down.
absolutely saw us laughing, for sure.
So literally what we're saying is we sat and watched a disabled woman struggle
And laughed.
and laughed at her.
She wasn't disabled. She was just lazy.
She was totally disabled.
No, she was just lazy.
She just fancied limping.
Yeah. Be
Um,
able to lift her bag up.
how do you feel about the monarchy?
Oh, that was a segue.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like this is a trick question because most of the world. I watched Pod Save the UK and they had an anti-monarchy guy on it the other day.
Was it the Labour MP?
Maybe.
I think he's gay.
Maybe.
Yeah, he swore to the king when being sworn in because he just got re-elected, and he actually did it under protest. Like he said before he said the oath, he was like, "I don't want to say this. I believe in a republic, UK."
What, in front of the king?
No, that in Parliament though, when they're getting sworn in,
Oh, wow.
they all have to take an oath before they take a seat.
Yeah, well, I basically didn't agree with anything he said. I don't really see the harm that Charles is doing, to be honest. I don't understand
Doesn't
what
it
everyone's...
look ridiculous though?
Why does it?
Like I watched a bit of the King's speech, right? And what you
Yeah, it's
have
awesome.
is an old man
On a throne.
Yeah. Wearing a cape, covered in jewels,
And a crown.
and a ridiculous crown,
And a
by
big
the way,
staff.
and a big staff and a rod.
He feels like a Muppet and all that as well, by the way, just so you know.
I bet he doesn't.
He
He's
does.
been waiting his entire life for those moments.
No, but I bet when they then do it, they feel like Nellies.
Does it not look ridiculous though? I personally,
why?
I can't. Since the Queen has died, and I think it's because we grew up seeing her in that situation.
Well, because we had her for so long.
Like
that seemed
it was like,
normal.
oh yeah, well the Queen, we have a Queen. It's Liz. She's the Queen. She does queeny things.
Yeah.
But like Charles, I don't know. I don't know whether it's because I know he wants to be a human tampon. I don't know whether it's because he's got massive sausage fingers. I don't know what it is.
I actually think it might be because we've got him as an old man.
Yeah, maybe.
The Queen aged really slowly.
Maybe.
And I think it seems to make more sense having a young monarch. I think having an old monarch is partly what people are having an image issue with. Because and to go with all the pomp and ceremony, it makes us look really...
But I feel also very uncomfortable with that display of wealth with everything that's going on in the country.
Yeah, it's not their fault that that's going on, is it? Like, they haven't actually had any impact on the
Well,
current
no, they
situation we're in. That's what he was saying. He was saying, but, you know, when people are starving, and it's like, but Charles didn't make them starve.
No,
Like,
100%.
you
He
can
didn't make
blame
them
the
starve.
Tories for
But
that.
It was a bit like when I went to the Tower of London. It's a beautiful building surrounded by homeless people. And then you go in and you see the crown jewels. And firstly, they're a bit underwhelming.
They're really
in
disappointing
person.
because they're so small.
But you're sat there and you're like, if we just sold this stuff, like, we could have a lot less homeless people.
The only reason I like it is because no one else has got it.
Yeah.
And it's one of the reasons everyone comes here. And it's
Yeah.
part of who we are. And it's part of what makes us
special. The sad
special.
truth is, I know, but that's the thing. I had the thought the other day, like, I'm uncomfortable, and I've said it before, with like giving all the stuff back that we've taken. And like a lot of those crown jewels would be part of the and you're like, what do we have if you take that away? And the answer is, well, nothing really. Do you know what I mean? And those things, they're not real, they're not actually tangible. I mean, you can see them, you can touch them if you have the opportunity to, but they're not real to any of us. They're only real to Charles and the people who get to handle them. But I don't know, I just find that uncomfortable. Like, we could have him do the King's speech on the throne, but does he need to be wearing the crown and all that? Do you know what I mean?
No, but it's the state opening of Parliament.
I know, but
so if you're not there in your full regalia,
I mean?
like, what's the point?
I know, but like, I don't know what it is. I find it. I'm really.
No, I like it. I want a trip to Bucky Palace soon. I'm all for it.
But when I heard like they're charging £75 to go and
look
at a balcony,
and we're paying for them to spend 300 mil on doing Buckingham
that's
Palace,
where they're
art.
doing harm. That's where you're like,
and Charles ain't even going to live there.
Yeah, I mean, the only argument against that is it is a national monument, and that's not just for him. It's not like...
Well, and he's lived at Clarence House, isn't it? Is that the name of his house?
Yeah.
For so long, like since he was in his 20s.
Yeah.
Why would you want to move out? And I don't think any of them enjoyed living in Buckingham
Palace.
Palace.
I don't think Elizabeth wanted to live there, did she? They just done up...
No, they had... No, they didn't have... No, his isn't called Clarence House, is it? That was where the Queen...
That probably is where he was living.
No, he's Highgrove is the house he bought in his 20s. But the Queen and Philip had just spent a hell of a lot of money for renovating it. And Philip had done all the renovation.
Yeah, I remember that from The Crown.
And Churchill said to her, Buckingham Palace is home to the monarch. Yeah. But I think it was cold.
And so far he's... all of his state meetings, his weekly meeting with the Prime Minister, it's all been at wherever it is he's living currently.
Okay, I'm assuming it's still Highgrove, unless he also lived at Clarence House. But
yeah, that they believe that will be where he continues. Like,
I mean,
ceremonial
Buckingham Palace
stuff
is a historical symbol of the royal family, isn't it? It's not a modern...
No, and it's not where they lived for the majority of the time we had a monarchy. It's only in probably the last couple of hundred years.
Look, the thing is, eventually, I think all of this will... I wouldn't worry about it so much now. Charles is an old man, and he's carrying on what his mum's handed over to him, honouring her. Also, remember, if he came in and straight away started doing everything differently and stripped off the crown and all that stuff, everyone would go, you're being disrespectful to
like
your mum's legacy.
Wouldn't they?
So, but I think when Charles is done, and I honestly wouldn't give Charles more than 10 years.
Oh, totally. Look at those hands, Joe. He's fit to blow.
He's not a well man.
No.
You've got some...
And he's got cancer currently.
Well, that's true, yeah. I think when William comes in, especially consider it'll all depend how Kate is, her health. I mean, let's hope she's...
Well, she appeared at Wimbledon, apparently.
She looked very thin, though.
Well, the king didn't look well,
She looked good in
he?
her face and everything, but she looked very... Like, I mean, she's very thin anyway.
If they're having chemo, we don't know what their treatments are.
No, exactly.
Because we don't actually know what cancers they have. Or...
But I think we'll see when William comes in that I think a lot of it will all get stripped away.
Maybe.
I think
it needs to become more relevant.
All the peripheral royals that are all just sucking on the tit of the royal family, that, you know, the Prince Andrews, the ones that don't actually do anything to earn their money, I think they'll all be pushed by the wayside. And
maybe
I think we'll see a slimmed down
I think they have to.
I don't think we'll be spending millions on, like, I don't think William will spend the same amount of money on his coronation. I think these big, huge state things, I think will...
Yeah, part of me disagrees though, because I feel like this country continues to lean into the nationalistic side of things, so I can see it being used.
No, but remember,
wrongly
William,
as
we
something.
actually don't know who William is. We don't know
No.
anything about him. We don't know what he thinks, but what we do know is he's half of Charles's age.
Yeah.
So there's got to be some change. Also, he's got...
Well, we do know that
Kate as an influence. Princess Diana was his mother, so that's got to give us some hope. For him actually being a real human rather than...
Do you think Harry will be at his coronation?
Probably not, no.
See, I think he will be. He'll probably be in the back. He'll be there, though, I think. Meghan won't be there.
I don't know, because I think his relationship with William is more damaged than his relationship with Charles.
Oh, totally, I agree, but I think he'll still be there.
Well, no, but what if William says he doesn't want him there?
Well, then he won't be.
So, but I think William's an angrier man than we realise.
Oh, definitely.
I don't think Harry was lying when he said William attacked him and hit him and sent him flying. I think, and Charles is known for having a really bad temper and being impatient.
Well, you saw him with that signing thing. Yeah. When Kingy doesn't get his own way, he's not a happy boy.
But again, remember, we've still got, after we've got William, we've then got George.
Yeah.
So I think...
Would he be like the 7th George or the 6th George? Because wasn't the Queen's dad George the 5th?
So he'd be the 6th?
I think so.
How many King Georges have we had?
I don't know. Google that shit.
Google it. But yeah, so no, I mean, I do understand, but also what I would like to hear is a Republican's argument for how we would... Like, so you don't want a royal family? Do we wait till Charles dies and then William doesn't become king?
That's the thing. Like,
how do we actually disband?
Well, I guess
do we put Charles on the dole?
I need to look into like how Spain and Denmark and countries like that do it, because they have monarchies, but it's not like ours. I don't think. That makes sense.
6.
Okay, so he'd be the 7th.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he'd be George the 7th.
Yeah, because was the Queen's dad or the Queen's granddad was George as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, that was Victoria and Albert's son. He was George the 5th.
Oh, was he Victoria and Albert's son?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow.
He was called Bertie.
Well, the Queen's dad was called Bertie, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he was Victoria and Albert's son, I think, wasn't he?
No. That's the Queen's dad, not her granddad. It would have been the Queen's granddad.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, the Queen's granddad was Victoria and Albert's
son.
Played
by Michael Gambon in The King's Speech.
Yeah. And then her dad wasn't called George, but he became George the 6th.
Okay.
He took on the...
Well, yeah, because he was Bertie, as you said, yeah.
Yeah.
What an unfortunate name with a stammer as well. It's funny, though, because I've always been a big monarchist, but I just feel like the more left I've got, the older I've got, the less I see its value. Like, I see it as almost feeding the nationalistic problem rather than solving it. And it's not because of anything the monarchy's doing, it's just its existence. It's just...
What I'd be interested to know is how it looks internationally. Like, if people in other countries watch our state opening of Parliament and our grand state occasions, is it actually positive advertising for the UK, or is it the opposite? Because if it is the opposite, then it really...
Well, I think most of the people who go and watch these things aren't the Brits. Like, there's obviously Brits there, but like when you see a crowd outside the balcony at Buckingham Palace when they're doing,
I
like,
think
the
you'll
reveal
find
or
the
something,
majority of them are British.
I reckon a lot of tourists as well.
No, definitely a lot, but a lot of them are... And remember, we don't...
I mean, look, when the Queen died, obviously that was...
Also, things will change,
Brits.
remember, because once the Queen's generation, all the people that would have gone to see the Queen somewhere are all going to die out eventually.
Yeah.
So that kind of love of the royal family is going to dilute itself, I think.
But I think that's already happening.
We're not really like that, are we? Like,
no.
So, and I'm not sure whether we'd get the same. I guarantee you, when Charles goes and he lies in state like the Queen does, you won't be seeing
God,
24-hour
no.
queues for
Well, no,
Charles.
like, look, she was the longest serving monarch in history, so that was why it was such a momentous occasion. Like, I remember us watching the coverage of her casket being taken from Scotland and that journey through the Highlands. Yeah. And
no, I think it's all going to dilute itself over time. Now the Queen's gone, change is going to happen anyway.
Yeah. What do you think of Meghan Markle? Because we've sort of talked about it off pod.
To be honest,
because I'm very much team Meghan, if I'm being honest.
Well, if any of us are honest, none of us actually know Meghan well enough to say.
No.
It sounds like she's a bit of a twat if you listen to some of the rumours and that she's rude to... I don't like anyone that's rude to people that work for them.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit who you are. If you've got no manners and you shout at people and you're nasty and whatever... and boss people around, then I think you're an idiot. So if she does that, then I think she's an idiot. But if she doesn't, if Harry's happy, that's all that matters, isn't it?
Yeah, that's fair.
What do you think of her?
I think she's all right. I mean, I'm a big fan of Suits.
But I don't agree if anybody says the reason people don't like her is because of the colour of her skin.
No, I don't think it's...
Because she might be mixed race, but she does not look like a black woman. And I don't think anyone looks at Meghan Markle and goes, oh, that black woman, I don't like her. I think there's something about Meghan's personality that you can see on her face.
I think the media used her ethnicity.
Well, they did. See, the problem is in the beginning when we thought she was lovely, we used it in a positive way. And she was going to be a really positive influence.
And then it became the centre of everything negative.
And then as soon as we realised, actually, this lady might have a personality that maybe isn't that appealing, and she seems to be turning Harry into a bit of a knob. I feel like
that's also the narrative they've spun as well. And the thing is...
Well, no, but like there's actual reports of her being hideous to staff and her tantrums, and she made... well, no, doesn't Meghan say Kate made her cry over a dress?
Yeah.
I think. But no, look, I don't think any of them are as nice as they pretend they are.
Well, no, look, they're living a rarefied life. They're going to be very demanding and high maintenance. But I think
the reason the majority don't like her hasn't got anything to do with her ethnicity. It's because she's got a personality that makes her look bitchy. I think the reason
most people don't like her is because they've been told not to like her, to be honest with you.
Probably. I to be honest, I have zero feelings towards her.
No, look, I'm not trying to.
But at the same time, if she was walking down the road, I wouldn't give a shit. I wouldn't be like, oh, Meghan, let me go and try and talk to Meghan.
I'd probably be more excited to see if Harry was about. Like, if I saw her, I'd be like, oh fuck, does that mean Prince Harry's here?
Yeah. I'd like to meet Prince Harry, but not.
But yeah, I can't understand the hatred he gets though now.
It's because he abandoned his country and his family for effectively some flange.
That's a very crude and simplistic way.
And you're going to turn that into a clip.
Yeah, probably. I just looked at the timestamp. But no, I just see him as someone who's protecting his missus and his kids. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I love her. I don't think I'm cool with Harry.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it sounds like some of the stuff that went down was a bit toxic.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, do we need a royal family? Some of the behaviour is like, do we really need that anymore? Like,
yeah, and I think I've talked to you about it off pod in terms of like, I think the people that surround the monarchy probably, well, you see it from the Crown and things like that.
They're more the problem than...
Yeah, they take it so much more seriously than the people within the monarchy do. And it creates this level of expectation and pressure. And all of them have been surrounded by these people for however long they've been in the job, which is normally 20, 30 years. It's the men in
suits, isn't it?
Yeah. And they're like the neck that turns the head. And like, for me, what broke my heart was when I heard that Harry was supposed to meet the Queen, but someone cancelled the meeting. And that did make me lose a bit of respect for her as well, because she knew she was meant to be seeing him.
And she'd only got cancelled.
Yeah, so... either someone spoke to her about it or she chose not to care. So I always found, like, because she could have resolved it. Do you know what I mean?
Probably. Oh, yeah, I mean, should she not have all got them all in a room together and banged their heads together and gone, come on now.
Yeah.
I haven't got long left.
Like, let's work something out.
She must have known she was
But
frail.
The reoccurring theme with the Queen was that she wasn't that great at the family side of things, was she?
No.
And then, like, that's without talking about Prince Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
It's very sad. It's the same name as me.
You don't want to get your YouTube video banned, do you, for talking about somebody like...
Do they get banned for talking about Prince Andrew?
All I know is all the big podcasters I watch, whenever they talk about anything to do with somebody of Prince Andrew's calibre, that P word is not allowed to be said in full.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And it's actually a bit annoying because the whole way through...
You're like, you think
they
you've missed
either
something.
don't say the word or it gets bleeped out.
Okay.
Because I think the
I've
more
seen
it
that
affects
with the
your
R
views
word.
and
Yeah,
and the R word as well. Yeah.
Whereas previously I've just sort of said those words. So maybe that's where we're
But
going
I
wrong.
think no, but also I think the bigger your audience, the
more
more hard they are on you. On
like I've been wondering because we keep getting copy. I didn't do an intro music for you, but then you didn't also tell me what you wanted. You still didn't remember.
No, I didn't even think about it. We do exit music.
Yeah, well, if you know what you want to play. But like when I get these copyright strikes, they're like, this doesn't affect your video. And I'm pretty sure that's just because we're not getting enough views for it to matter. Some of them it will say the owner allows access for YouTube videos. But I'm pretty sure most of the time it's just because they're like, come on, 5 people are watching. Leave them alone.
Yeah. We're not losing royalties on this. It's all good.
Right. What I found interesting with you recently, actually, was that you were more into the football this tournament. You've never been a football-y person.
No, not really.
What was it about this tournament? Was it just randomly you decided, I'm going to get into it? Or?
Well, I don't really get into it in the beginning.
No.
But if we actually look like we're going somewhere, I'm a complete mercenary.
You're a fair weather fan.
Yeah. I was only interested in the last 3 games.
Yeah. I hated all of it.
I just think it's really disappointing.
It's the least disappointed I've been, though, because like just from the get-go, I had no illusions that we were going to win it. And even on the day, I jokingly said to Ash and Jake, we're going to win 3-1, knowing full well we weren't going to win 3-1. I got my hopes up slightly when we equalised, but...
I think Spain got very lucky with their last-minute goal.
They deserved it overall, though.
They played really hard.
They had several chances that, in reality, they should have scored.
And as soon as Jeremy... Because I said to Jeremy, who are we playing in the final? And he said Spain, and I went, oh, dear.
Well, the thing is, I think the last time we played them was in another competition called the Nations League, and it was a few years ago now, and we beat them fairly comfortably at the time. But, like, the difference was night and day in terms of, like, one team you can tell is coached and have a plan, and ours was just to sit behind the ball. But, yeah.
We're good at penalties, though.
Yeah, that's the one thing you can
Definitely
give Southgate credit for, is he's publicly said that penalty taking is something he, going into a tournament, makes sure the players are practicing, and he's like, just have a spot and a routine of kicks that you're comfortable with. And and he's left. Yeah, he's gone.
No, it's a shame.
No, it's not.
No, but I think it's a shame he didn't get to win before he left.
What I really disliked was finding out people had thrown bottles at him.
Did they?
Yeah.
What, at the end of the game?
No, not at the end of the final. It would have been against probably, I think it might have been Slovakia. I think it was like 0-0 at half time or something, and they've thrown bottles at him.
Just sad losers.
Well, yeah, totally, and they're not football fans.
Oh, and yeah, and totally demoralising the manager's really going to mean
and
that
also,
the team
like,
then win,
regardless of what I think of him, and I have no issue with him as a person, I think there's things he's done well within the job. But in general, I'm not a fan of him as a manager. But as a person, like, why would you do that? And no one deserves that, but he certainly doesn't. He's been the one thing you can say, he's been a statesman and carried himself incredibly well the last 8 years. And it's felt like longer, to be fair. I thought it'd been like 12, but... Apparently
there's talks that the Lioness is...
She's apparently on the shortlist,
Manager's on the shortlist, so that'd be funny. And imagine if they had a female manager and then they won something.
A German female.
Hilarious.
To be honest with you, I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I think the first time, because she'd been mentioned about it before, and I wasn't sure then. I'm still not sure now. But if she's the best candidate and she's won,
but can she do both? Is she not currently the girls' manager?
Yeah, she is.
Oh, I don't know how I feel about that then.
I think she's still the girls' manager.
She can't stop being the girls' manager to be the boys' manager.
Yeah, the money will be better.
But they're going to offer big money, aren't they?
Well, Southgate's on 8 million a year, I think. So yeah.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, but yeah. Sad times. But Joe, should we call that a pod? I think we've done quite well.
It's been a great episode.
It has been a great episode. I've had a great time.
The time's flown by.
It always does, to be fair. And we had a nice little chat in there. And we've got the clickbait with Trump, so we're going to rake in the views.
Yeah, love it.
You said some controversial stuff.
I hope not.
You said something at the beginning. I'm going to have to listen back to it.
I'm not repeating it.
I can't even remember what it was.
I can remember, but once was enough.
I think it was about council homes, wasn't it?
I hadn't warmed up yet, okay?
No.
I hadn't. My brain
You have to let her off.
It's been a stressful day.
Yeah.
I'm warm now.
I'll hashtag reform in the clip to get extra views, just to piss more and more people off. But guys, thank you as always for listening. Are you ready to do the socials? You did the intro. You ready for the socials?
Yeah. What do I do? Do I just?
No, you got to say all the socials.
Oh, really? What have I got to say?
No, I'm joking.
I don't know what they all are.
Just gesture beautifully.
I know there's at Swords Crossing.
That's Twitter.
X.
Yeah, X. I write it as X when I'm doing the graphics because it's easier than writing Twitter.
Yeah.
But I don't ever call it X. No. But no, guys, Joe, gesture for me. It will be on Facebook at Crossing Swords, at Twitter at Swords Crossing, on TikTok and Instagram it's CrossingSwords_podcast. You can email us at CrossingSwords19@gmail.com. And you can, if you're listening to us and not watching, you're missing out. There's a lot to see here.
Why would you not want to see our pretty faces?
And if you want to do that, just click in the link of the description in any episode, literally any of them.
Any episode.
And you'll find a link to the YouTube page. Guys, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.